Hi there. I've been meaning to post this assembly video of my secondhand Nihilus for over a year now, and life just gets in the way sometimes between a hurricane and pets and illnesses and life. I just didn't get round to it. So thanks for your patience, and here we go. This loom had been sitting unused for a very long time, so she was dusty and dirty. First thing she needs is a good clean. I used Murphy's oiled soap, some lemon oil, and a specialty silicone lubricant for the metal parts. I also used a paintbrush, some rags, steel brushes, some steel wool, sandpaper, and a toothbrush to get in those nooks and crannies. And then I got to work piece by piece. I started out with a diluted oil soap mixture. You put it on there to get the gunk and grime off, and then you wipe it off with a clean towel. After that, I treated the clean wood with the lemon oil to moisturize and polish it. Then on the metal parts, I used the steel brushes and the steel wool to get off any rust. And then we treated the metal parts with the silicone lubricant so they don't continue to rust. Now we're going to look at some before and afters. This is the front bottom brace piece that holds the treadles, and it was pretty grimy. Here's another view of it before and after. Ooh, so pretty and shiny. Now, a lot of LeClercs have a tag that is their serial number, and this tells you a lot about the loom. This one, the NC, tells me this is a Nihilus. The 60 tells me it's 60 inches in width. The 4 is a 4 shaft. And the last two numbers tell you the month and the year that this loom was manufactured. I laid the castle and the jack box on the floor so that I could use the silicone lubricant to lubricate all the metal parts, all these hinges and pivot points in the jack box. Hey Winnie, are you helping? I don't think that's going to be helpful, ma'am. No. Fluffy tail. The kitty booty. So you see I had my inspector while I was removing the old dry rotted foot pads off of the loom. I did that with some needle nose pliers and a screwdriver to pull out the really long nails that were in that cup there on the floor. And then I sanded and cleaned the bottom of the feet, and I used these Gorilla rubber slipstick pads. They are adhesive and really thick with a felt padding in the middle, and they also are non-slip, so that's a really great, cheap way to replace the foot pads. Hi, you coming back to inspect my work? Uh, Checking it out, making sure it's all good. I haven't even done anything with that. Don't knock it over. Meow. Oh my word. Oh, don't do it, Winnie. I stopped the video too soon. And now it's time for assembly. You'll need a few tools for this part. At minimum, you'll need a square Robertson screwdriver, needle nose pliers, and some standard pliers. Optionally, you could have a wrench set, a ratchet set, and maybe a rubber mallet would be helpful. First, I attach these front cross pieces to the center castle. They have little notches that slide into openings, and I tap them into place with a rubber mallet and a towel to pat it. Then I put the bottom cross piece on and tap that into place. I secured the moving parts with bungee cords and tipped the loom forward so that I could secure everything with the bolts. The bolts are really long, so they go in on one side, and underneath the loom, there's these little openings where the nuts fit. And I hold the nuts steady with the needle nose pliers and then twist the bolt until it's snug. There are several bolts on each side, and then you repeat on the other side. It's easier when the back beam braces are lifted up and out of the way. The next step is attaching the batten swords that hold the beater and the reed to the loom. And these attach with a bolt and a couple of washers. Be sure you put a washer between the loom and the batten sword and then top it off with the bolt. So now I'm going to secure all the moving parts again and tip the loom back up so we can add on the treadles. These just slip onto a couple of bolts on that bottom front beam, and then you tighten the nuts down to keep it in place. Next, the cloth beam. We put the ratchet handle onto the ratchet side of the cloth beam. Then we slip it into those notches. Those little metal brackets hold it into place. And then we get the shuttle race ready. I forgot to clean the shuttle race. So we get the shuttle race and the rest of the beater bar ready to attach to the batten swords. Both cross pieces attach to the batten swords with nuts and bolts. And you tighten them loosely first, and then you want to square it up before you really tighten them down and secure them. Later on, I noticed I needed to replace the pads on the castle for the beater bar, but I'll do that later. Adding on the front beam is really easy. It just slips into place and that's it. Now for the trickiest part of assembly is getting the back beam and the brake secured. If you have two people, I would recommend it for this part because I struggled, as you will see. I used a chair to help me hold the weight as I slip the brake circle into the coil and then secured the edges into the slots with the levers. I was really glad I took good pictures of the brake assembly before I disassembled it, because right here is where I am realizing that that lever underneath the brake circle is flipped the wrong way round. And I need to flip it backwards. It's not going to attach to things the way it is right now. I'm glad I had the pictures to figure that out. I'm going to detach the brake from this side of the loom, flip the lever, and then I'm going to, I think, re-secure the beam back to the loom. Spoiler, it was not okay. So now we're going to watch me struggle a little bit trying to attach the spring and the brake coil at the same time. Turns out you either need two people for that or you need to do one at a time. In the meantime, catastrophe struck. See, that lever was not really secure as I thought it was. After righting my camera stand and putting the warp beam back on the loom securely this time, we tried the brake again. Now, after the bloopers, now we get to the real order of operations. I attach the brake cord to the back side of that little lever first. And then next, I'm going to stretch up the spring and attach it to the front side of that lever. Now, when setting the brake coil, you want to be sure that the brake coil's from the outside towards the inside and that the coils are not overlapping each other at any point. If they overlap, that's going to cause your brake to lock up, and if they crisscross, that's also going to cause your brake to lock up and not release properly. Be sure the coil is flat and snug around the brake drum. Now, this is the hard part, stretching the spring while holding this coil. If I let go of either one, they both spring away from me. But I got it. And yay, the brake is assembled. Now, it took me a minute to realize that the brake cord was not working properly because I did not have the back of the loom fully extended. It needs to be fully extended for that brake cord to work. Now we're in the home stretch. I extend the back beam supports all the way and attach the back beam. This takes a little bit of finagling, but like the front beam, it just slips on. I did have to hammer it with the mallet to get it on. Next, we slip in our shafts. All the shafts are the same. It doesn't really matter which one goes in which slot. They just go in between those metal slots. I tried putting on the shelf, but my shelf holes were misaligned. This looks like a shelf that's made for a newer loom on an older loom, and so I decided to take it off until I could re-drill the holes. The next step in the manual is making sure the beater aligns with the rubber bumpers, but I did that at a different time. My next step was putting the tie-ups on the treadles. Each of the lambs has 6 eyelets that align with the 6 treadles. So I'm putting the tie-up cords into the eyelets where I want each shaft tied up. I'm using a walking twill pattern with a tabby in the center. Then I attach the cords to the treadles using these pins, and you be sure to lock those pins in or they'll slide out. A walking twill alternates left, right, so it feels more balanced when you're weaving. There she is. All put together. Look at that. So I realized I missed a step. I didn't put these pawls on top of the brake like they're supposed to be. But that's an easy fix. We just unlatch that right there. Lift this side out a little bit, flip those up, put it right back. Easy fix. And like that, it's done. And now Big Betty is all ready for a test warp. I am using the warp that she came with. The previous owner didn't want it, so I chained it off and I'm going to reuse it. I'm slaying it a little differently than she originally had it. I'm basically doing a log cabin pattern. So I'm slaying one pink and one green thread in each dent of the reed. About every inch or so, I tie a slip knot to secure things. And my supervisor is always watching. I made these little shaft risers out of cardboard and tape. It just lifts the shafts a little bit higher so it's easier to thread. Now, I'm threading front to back, so I've got the reed in the loom. The reed is already slayed. I'm pulling the threads forward, and I'm going to thread them through the heddles. I usually do groups of 4 when I'm doing a twill. That way I can make sure I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4 each time. And we're going to pause for a moment to enjoy rainbow time. I have a prism in my window, and in the evenings, in the afternoon, when that western sun comes through, oh, it's just beautiful. Look at all the rainbows. Love it, love it, love it. It brings me joy. This is the threading, about 3/4 of the way through, and then this is the threading finished. Now, as I thread these, I take small bundles and I even out the ends and I knot them to secure them. This keeps them from falling out of the heddles, and also then I use those knots to lash on to the warp beam. And this is how I beam. I use water bottles as weights. The reed sorts out the order of the threads for me. I use a couple of leaf sticks to apply some even tension, and I beam on really slowly. I move the water bottles down every couple of turns, and I always get a really good tension this way. My last step is to tie on to the front beam with as even tension as I can get. And then I check all of my sheds. I check all 6. This one has a discrepancy, so I adjust my tie up a little bit so that it opens even and clean like this. Nice big wide. I check all 6 sheds, make sure they're all looking good. And finally, it's time to start the weaving. This test weave is coming out beautifully. Look at that log cabin. It gives a great 3D effect. This loom weaves like a dream. I am so happy with it. And before we wrap up the video, I want to introduce you to my new channel mascot, designed by ArtisticBat. I'll link her below. Look at this cute little zombie, and we even included Winnie in it. I don't have a name for her yet, but we're going to figure out a name for her. Thanks for watching. Hit those like and subscribe buttons, and happy weaving!